They're coming after our comedy. Save yourselves, everybody. Comedy's been under attack this week in a couple different ways. Hannibal Buress, a very funny comedian, was actually deplatformed at a college in Chicago, and they shut off the mic, started playing music so he couldn't speak without the mic, and drowned him out and removed him from the stage because they didn't like the jokes that he was telling. Also, Count Dankula got found guilty for his jokes about the Nazi dog. He will be sentenced, I think, April 23rd. So they postponed the sentencing, but he is found guilty and will probably see some jail time for making a joke, an off-color joke that all ladies should appreciate. So let's go ahead and talk about it. My focus is going to try to at least give a comedian side of things and explain a little bit about the structure that goes on before a show is officially booked, and sort of the hierarchy, I guess, that goes on with booking a show and what the expectations of the comedian and the venue are throughout the course of a show. But let's go ahead and get in this article. I'm going to read through the Chicago Tribune article about this. It's titled, Hannibal Buress stand-up set is interrupted at Loyola after his sex abuse joke. The weekend was not entirely sweet at Gentile Arena for Loyola University Chicago students. Hannibal Buress' Saturday night show at Loyola, a Jesuit Catholic university, was almost cut short after the 35-year-old Chicago comedian made a joke referencing sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church, attendees confirmed to the Tribune. Buress was to perform a stand-up set as part of Loyola's annual Colossus show, put on by Loyola's student-run department of programming in the Gentile Arena, home of the school's basketball teams. He made a few minutes before his microphone was shut off. Buress opened the set by projecting an email from Loyola about guidelines for performance, including content restrictions regarding rape, sexual conduct, race, sexual orientation/gender, and illegal drugs. He then made a joke connecting the rules to the Catholic Church's history of child abuse, and the mic went out. That's, to mock the room. Obviously, this day and age, everyone knows the joke. It's not like it's a brand new concept to make fun of Catholics. And I mean, the first thing that comes to anybody's head when you talk about a Catholic priest or altar boys is molestation. That's the easy get. So to me, it's like this joke shouldn't have been unexpected, particularly knowing Hannibal's type of humor and the way he goes about telling his jokes, that this would definitely be within his realm. Keep in mind, Hannibal Buress is the one that shined a lot of the light on the Bill Cosby scandal. No one even knew that Bill Cosby was raping people, and then Hannibal Buress just kept talking about it and wouldn't shut up about it, kept talking about it during a show, and then telling everyone just go look it up, find out for yourself. And then shortly after Hannibal Buress' attention to this, it got exposed. Now, at this point, exposing the Catholic Church for diddling little boys wouldn't be groundbreaking, but it would still fall inside the same line of the kind of stuff that he would do. So that's where we get into the booking of it. Apparently, this university was doing a 2-day, I guess, festival sort of thing, or 2-day show where they have music and comedians and all that stuff interlaced together. And he was doing his show. He purposely went against the contract that was signed, saying that he would not talk about sexual misconduct, he would not talk about rape, he would not. Basically, they wanted to, and he wasn't allowed to talk about race or anything like that. Which at that point, I'm like, okay, either they've never seen his show and they don't know what comedian they're booking, or they've seen his show but they want him to doctor his show to their university and basically take out certain aspects and some of the colorful topics that he will use to paint his jokes. Yes, he signed a contract saying that he wouldn't talk about those things, but then again, this school asked him to basically not be him. I mean, they obviously hired him based off the name. In comedy, you have two types of agents. You've got the booking agent, and you have a personal agent. A lot of times, a booking agent really just works for the venue. They work for the comedy club or the comedy venue or whatever. The booking agent really just tries to find their comedians or the comedians that they've already pre-approved to send in there. If there's a comedy club near you and you have never heard of the headliner, or most of the time the headliner is an unknown name as far as you're concerned, those are just road comics like myself that go around and they tour, and they have to they take basically like scale. They get paid what that room pays the headliner and or feature they get paid that. There's no negotiation for the most part. Until you start being a name, when you start being a household name, you've been seen on the Tonight Show, you've got a Netflix special or a Comedy Central special, that's when you start having more of a personal agent who books for you. Or the university or comedy club has to book through your agent. A lot of stand-ups do their own booking because they've already got a relationship with a comedy club or comedy venue to some extent, and they will do their own bookings that way, and they'll take either a percentage of the door or require a certain amount of money up front from the club. I'm assuming Hannibal, being a very well-known, being in movies, being on TV, and being a very well-known comedian, he has a personal agent. He's not being booked by the college agency or an agency the college is working with. It's his personal agent that's worked out this deal. Now, that being said, I've seen some comedians, some other road comics say that he signed the contract, he shouldn't have done the jokes. Sure. And I think that should have been negotiated beforehand, having the jokes saying, I'm not going to pull punches just because you want me to. And I have plenty of times been given a list of rules all of a sudden the night of a show, and say, okay, can't do a joke about this, don't do a joke about that, stay away from these topics. And I go, oh yeah, sure, of course. Or they're saying, don't say the F word, this, that. I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. And I'll just do my show anyway. I don't really care. If you start putting regulations and rules on me, you need to pay me corporate money. That's why corporate pay tends to be a lot higher than just regular scale pay from the comedy clubs, because corporate, you have to not step on toes, and normally it's a hell gig. Corporate shows are the worst. I've had to do a corporate show for a bunch of lawyers one time, and they were still trying to pay me scale, and then they thought they had the right to tell me how to tell my jokes, and I don't really play well with that. So Hannibal, probably being of the same mind that getting into comedy, you want to voice your own opinion and make your own jokes and not be stifled creatively, probably just didn't care that he, what the requirements were on him, and was going to do his show because they were hiring Hannibal Buress, and he was just going to do a show. And the students were going to expect Hannibal Buress to do the Hannibal Buress show and not come in there and just softball a bunch of lighthearted jokes and then move on his way and take his check. He was going to stay true to his name and do his show. I always tend to side with comedians on this, particularly with I got into comedy and I got into YouTube to be able to voice my opinion and say what I want to say and not have to jump through hoops. I had a couple agents that asked me, well, if you would just clean up your set a little bit, we could put you in these corporate settings and you make a lot of money. I'm like, well, I'm not doing comedy just to make money, clearly, because comedy doesn't pay for shit unless you're a big name. I got into comedy because I like telling the jokes I want to tell and make the voice, have my voice be heard, and I want to be able to explain how I see the world and not have it being restricted on just because you feel it's off color. Know who you're booking. I see this so often with comedy clubs, or not even necessarily comedy clubs, but just people that are trying to do comedy for the first time, or whether it's a bar or a Knights of Columbus Hall or whatever, they're trying to do comedy at some point, and they do zero to little research of the comedians that they're having brought in. Or they contact an agency, and then the agency tells them what comedian they're going to have, a couple months before the comics are going to be there, and the club or venue does nothing to actually ensure that this comedian is someone that they want to have there. I tour as one half of the Saints and Sinners comedy tour. We picked the name Saints and Sinners Comedy Tour just so if you heard the name, you immediately got the idea that it's going to be a little bit clean, but a little bit dirty as well when you booked our show. It was act as like an umbrella to cover us up because we are unknown. So we thought the name will help solidify us and let everyone, not only attending the show, but the club, to know what kind of show they're going to be getting from us. Hannibal Buress shouldn't have to do that. It's not like when they went to book him, they didn't have access to any of his material or see any of his shows, or they should have immediately assumed that they were going to have to void that part of the contract regardless. Many comedians recently have just rejected doing colleges and schools altogether for several different reasons, and this is clearly one of them. Back when like South Park and then like Family Guy and stuff like that, where the raunchy, dirty, over the edge, pushing, the make you cringe a little bit kind of style offensive jokes got really, really popular. Well, that pendulum is moving the other direction to being more PC now. People are starting to want, they're pushing back. They're saying, I don't want to cringe at my jokes. I don't want shock comedy anymore. And I don't want you saying offensive things just to be offensive. Even people like Seinfeld, who have come out and said that they won't do college shows anymore because of the PC culture. And that's Seinfeld. One of the most inoffensive human beings. Outside of like Brian Regan, Seinfeld's like the most inoffensive person I have ever seen. And he won't do colleges because it's too PC for him. My final feeling on this subject is it's gonna go away. Hannibal went back on stage like 15 minutes later to apparently a standing ovation, and he finished up the rest of his show. The fact that the college hired someone of Hannibal Buress' notoriety and why he's famous, which is the reason why they booked him, and then didn't want him to do a show, makes no sense to me. I blame the college for booking someone and then asking him not to do it. I blame the Hannibal's agent for not clarifying those points in the contract. And I do not think that Hannibal should ever apologize for it. I don't think any comedian should ever apologize for a joke. Which takes us to our next point. Count Dankula gets found guilty for making a joke. Now, the rules over here are a little different than over there. Hannibal Buress makes a uncomfortable joke, and all it does is it just causes controversy, and that's it. Count Dankula makes a joke, and he's going to be seeing jail time. That's terrifying to me, that we're at that point where you can't just speak on. You think that like Scotland and stuff would be like more progressive, and it's just not. I thought it was going to be laughed off. I thought it had gotten blown up, and that it was going to be removed, and basically they were just going to look at it and just say this is silly and clearly it's a joke. But it's like humor is not, and satire and humor is just not seen in the court of law anymore. It's not seen in the public eye anymore. It's like if you make a joke, or if sarcasm is never picked up on. I constantly am battling with certain individuals on Twitter and on YouTube that dissect a joke and take the joke out of it and want to pick apart what I might have meant by it, or that I'm promoting a bad cause. And that seems to be what happened with Count Dankula, is that he basically got seen as he was promoting a bad thing, but the context was lost. It was like you pulled all the humor out of it, and that it was mockumentary style than being a promotion video. And the fact that he's going to, if he doesn't actively see jail time, which I think he's going to, if he doesn't he's going to be, this is the amount of money he's got to be spent, probation and whatever punishment they're going to put on him, it's going to be bad. And it's terrifying to see that, as simple as that joke was, that's going to be his downfall. Like, Jesus. I fear for comedy. This sucks. This sucks real bad. Like, comment, subscribe. Well, smash that like button. Whatever. I don't know. I don't YouTube well. All right. Thanks, everybody. Deuces.